is 7:04 on this Tuesday, November 7th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's a Tuesday morning, and we're glad to have you with us here on Coleman and Company. And, of course, we're on the air each Tuesday for Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Tracy Pope is here. Tracy, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Always good to see you, and we always look forward to you bringing some guest to talk about something about Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. But you got something to tell us in the beginning here at what took place yesterday, I believe.
Yes. You know, we always love the opportunity to come on the air with you twice a month to share the new things going on at the hospital and in the community. And yesterday we had an open house ribbon cutting with our Vanderbilt Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic, which is here in Lebanon. Dr. John Tate is a longtime physician in this community, and he just retired in October, his practice. And so Vanderbilt has recruited 3 new physicians to be in our Vanderbilt Ear, Nose, and Throat. So we have Dr. Mark Feely. He's general ENT, and he is here 5 days a week just seeing patients. And then we have Dr. Melanie Hicks. She is a head and neck surgeon, and she is one of the specialty physicians within ear, nose, and throat. So she'll be out in Wilson County seeing patients here and doing surgeries here, working with our Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center. And then we have Dr. Elizabeth Perkins, and she is also a subspecialty of ENT, more on the cochlear implant specialty. So, those are 2 specific physicians that have a very narrowed focus that you do not have to drive into Nashville to see. And they come out to Lebanon, Wilson County. We'll see you in clinic here, and then also perform procedures here as well. And it's just another way that Vanderbilt is bringing excellent care closer to home. So we're excited to share all that with our community.
Yes, thank you for letting us know about that and reminding us again. We did a program about that, I believe.
We did. All 3 of those physicians have joined us. And, something else special that Vanderbilt and other companies are able to do, because we are an entity that services our entire community, we are able to partner with our Lebanon Wilson County Chamber and our Mount Juliet Chamber to have the ribbon cutting and open house together as a joint event. And it's very exciting to see our friends from all over the county to come into Lebanon and help celebrate our services and success.
Okay, we have a guest this morning that I'm sure you want to do the introduction for.
Yes. Katie Lang is the director of Vanderbilt Heredity Cancer Clinic, and I have recently gotten to know Katie. Vanderbilt has a vast variety of service lines, and I have gotten to know Katie in the month of October. We partnered with our Lebanon Wilson County Chamber and our Mount Juliet Chamber to have a program on heredity and cancer care. And it was great, and I just am excited to share Katie with our audience today.
All right, Katie Lang, MSCGC.
Yep.
What does that stand for?
That stands for Masters of Science Certified Genetic Counselor.
All right. Well, what is a genetic counselor?
That's a great question, and probably a perfect place to start because most people have never heard of genetic counselors. So we are board-certified healthcare providers, which means we went to a lot of school, graduated, took a special exam to be able to do what we do. And our job is to meet with patients and often their families to talk about the cancers in their family and see whether those cancers could be genetic or hereditary, meaning that there's a cause running in the family that's putting people at higher risk to get cancer. And we're able to do testing these days to help families understand their risks better and hopefully prevent cancer or lower their risks or get screened more closely.
Okay, let me ask you just another question here about your education, about getting this certification and so on. Is it pretty much the same path as most doctors go through?
It's different than doctors and it's different than nurses. It's kind of its own path. So you usually get a 4-year degree from college, often in a science like biology, and then you go to graduate school for 2 years, And it's a special program just designed for genetic counseling. So they're usually within a medical school, but it's separate from like where the doctors are being trained.
Where did you go to school?
I went to school in Virginia, in Richmond, Virginia. It's called Virginia Commonwealth University.
Is this what you had planned all along?
It is absolutely not what I planned all along. I always said that I loved science and I loved people, and I wanted a job that could combine the two. And it was actually later in my career, I did some other things for a while and finally figured out that this was the right path. So I went back to school and I'm not looking back.
Okay, what is hereditary cancer?
So we use the term hereditary cancer to describe about 5 to 10% of all cancers are actually due to an abnormal or broken gene that a person is born with. Most people have no idea that they're born with this genetic risk. And depending on the gene, it can increase their chances to get certain types of cancer. So probably the most well-known, if somebody has ever heard of this, they might have heard of the BRCA or the BRCA genes, which are associated with breast cancer. But there's actually genes for all different types of cancer: colon, prostate, melanoma, pancreatic, ovarian. So a lot of people actually might be eligible for this kind of thing and really not realize it because they don't know how many genes we've discovered and how much testing is available.
Well, who should consider genetic testing?
Well,
Does that mean everybody necessarily?
not necessarily. So we really encourage people to know their family history, which might sound a little old-fashioned, but honestly, it's really, really important. We know that sometimes families didn't want to talk about things like cancer, especially maybe older generations. They kept it very private. Maybe they didn't realize how much that could benefit the next generations now that we have technologies like this. So typically we say if people have had relatives diagnosed with cancer at a younger age, like maybe before they're 50, if they see the same type of cancer over and over again in their family, or they just feel like there's a lot of cancer, they look around to their friends and they say, my family seems to have more cancer than other people I know. Those are all people we'd be happy to see in clinic.
Is this genetic testing covered by insurance?
It is. Most people
that's
don't.
good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not necessarily covered for everyone, but part of our job when we meet with people is collecting all of the details about their family history to help get it covered by insurance. So typically we ask a whole bunch of questions when we meet with people, and then we can help them figure out if their insurance will cover it.
Well, some people might be wondering if I have the genetic testing and then I am positive for that, or it's more in my family maybe than I thought. This sort of thing. Could that cause somebody to lose their health insurance?
It will not for most people. So there's actually a federal law that's been around for a long time that protects health insurance from what's called genetic discrimination, meaning that just having an abnormal genetic test of any kind, not just related to cancer, that your health insurance company cannot drop you or charge you more just based on the fact that you had genetic testing.
Do you see people on a regular basis? Is this what you do most days?
It's what I do every day, yeah.
Well, are you all over the area? You just here in Lebanon, or?
So one great thing about genetic counseling is that it's really a conversation, meaning we don't do an exam. We don't actually need to see you in person. So we do a lot of telemedicine where we can see anybody in the state of Tennessee by a video conference. So people can do this from their couch, I've had people who are, snuggled up in bed, somewhere you're comfortable, and we have a conversation with them. And then actually the laboratories that run the testing will send somebody to your house at no cost to you to do the blood draw. Or we can even send a saliva kit depending on the patient's preference. So we can do this whole thing completely from your home as long as you're somewhere in the state of Tennessee.
So you're saying you don't really see in your office or at the hospital these people that you are consulting with?
We can see people in person, so we do have a clinic in Nashville. But whenever we're scheduling people, we offer them the choice of a video conference or in person.
And most people don't like to go to Nashville if they don't have to.
We found about 2/3 of people choose the video option, yes. And I don't blame them. It's really convenient.
But that's fine for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny. After, the technology is can sometimes give people problems, but overwhelmingly, most people have no problems. They log in, and really after a couple minutes, you kind of forget it's a video, and you're just talking to somebody like you would if you were in the same room.
Is the video necessary? Could this be done over the phone?
It can be if there's kind of technical glitches. But we prefer it. It's nice to be able to see people if we can. And it's all the technology is kind of built into Vanderbilt's medical record system. So the patient doesn't actually have to do anything except log into their portal, and then all of it is set up for them. So it's really easy.
What's it like? How long does this take? What are some of the questions maybe you ask?
So we ask a lot about family history. So we ask about mom's side, dad's side. One thing people might not realize is how much both sides of their family can impact them, especially maybe women might often be asked at their doctor, for example, did your mother have breast cancer? But they're not asked about their aunts on their father's side or their grandparents on their father's side. And that impacts your genetics just as much. We get half of our genes from our moms and half of our genes from our dads. So we take a very comprehensive family history. That's kind of the core, tool that we use in genetics. And then from there, we talk about what gene or set of genes we're suspicious could be abnormal in a person's family. There's dozens and dozens of genes we can test for these days. So we kind of walk people through, here's what would happen if you had this test and a certain gene was abnormal, here's what will be different about your medical care. Because that's really what people want to know. What's going to be different? I'm already, getting mammograms. I already get colonoscopies. I know my, dad had prostate cancer, so I'm getting screened. So we go through how their medical care would be different if they had genetic testing.
Well, can you advise somebody almost immediately after? How long does one of these usually take?
Once the sample's at the lab, it's about 2 to 3 weeks to get results back.
Okay, how long's your conversation?
The conversation, we schedule it for 90 minutes because it's pretty long, but sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer.
So after an hour and a half, you have a pretty good idea?
Yep, the person is kind of, because part of it is us giving the information, and then part of it is the person deciding what they want to do or if they want to know. Or sometimes we might meet somebody, say, a 30-year-old comes because they're worried about their parents' history or their grandparents' history. And we might guide them and say, actually, your father's the better person to test, or your grandmother's the better person to test because they actually had the cancer. And we kind of come up with a plan of, are they comfortable talking to their family members about genetic testing, and how could we help get their family member into clinic if they want to? So we're always helping them make a plan.
Okay, it is time for us to take a break. Our program presented by Wilson County Hospital. I'll reintroduce the guest when we come back here on Coleman & Company up at 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Want to thank our friends at Bates Ford. Low price tire guaranteed on all tires every day. Up to 30 days after the sale, there'll be any competitors' pricing on the tires they sell. 1673 West Main. Now with traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Starting to build in Paytonsville again on 840 there in Williamson County as traffic starts to increase even more out of Rutherford County on 24 westbound up through the Hickory Hollow area. It's busy now on Vietnam Fence at Conference Drive as you get on that ramp to 65 southbound. Watch for radar I-40 out through Wilson County, especially in the Mount Juliet area. Hey, Prince's Hot Chicken is hiring in all 4 locations. Check out their menu at princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing has experienced new leadership and a new atmosphere. Same location in the heart of Lebanon, 731 Castle Heights Court on the Castle Heights campus. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing is providing 5-star clinical outcomes to short-term and long-term care residents. Call 615-444-4319 for a tour and to experience the new culture. Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing.
What is your passion? How can you use that passion to enrich your community? Hi, this is Melanie Minter, President and CEO of the Lebanon-Wilson County Chamber of Commerce. Your chamber is the resource for making connections to fulfill your passion. Whether education, nonprofit, agriculture, entertainment, or government relations, Wilson County offers a place for you to be involved. Your chamber connects businesses, individuals, and your passion to the community. We have an enthusiasm for excellence. Join us and catch the spirit. Call or visit our office at 149 Public Square in Lebanon.
I'm Michael Starr, a licensed local insurance agent with Health Markets Insurance Agency in Lebanon, Tennessee. Choosing the right Medicare plan for you can be confusing. Let me help you find a plan that best fits your needs and budget. Call 615-830-4875 to speak with a licensed insurance agent for a free appointment, virtually, by phone, or in person, to review your specific needs and help find a plan that's right for you. Health Markets Insurance Agency Incorporated is licensed in all states and D.C. Service and product availability varies. Agents may be compensated based on enrollment. No obligation to enroll.
We continue here on this Tuesday morning. Our program presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Tracy Coleman with us, who is Director of Community Relations. And this morning, our special guest is Katie Lang, MS, CGC, Director of Vanderbilt Hereditary Cancer Clinic. So we've talked a lot about this, and this is something, correct me if I'm wrong, but Tracy, I don't think we've ever mentioned this really hardly at all.
We
before.
have not,
So
yes.
we are, as we say, we're plowing new ground this morning, and it's really nice to hear about this and to maybe understand a little bit of it. But it sounds like maybe genetic testing is relatively new. How long has this been going on, really? It may, probably longer than I think, but it's coming to the forefront, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. So the BRCA genes, or the BRCA genes, were kind of one of the first set of genes that were discovered that became available for what we call commercial testing. That didn't happen until the late 1990s. And as you can imagine, it took a while for it to kind of be adopted. Back then, there weren't insurance protections. It was very, very expensive. We didn't know if insurance would cover kind of the follow-up care that came with testing. So even though the tests existed, they weren't really they weren't taken very often. Mm-hmm. Now it's really becoming almost not every patient with cancer, but most patients with cancer are likely going to be offered genetic testing at some point, because now it can help treat different types of cancer. It can help prevent certain types of cancer. So we're learning more and more about genetics and cancer. So it's really exploding.
Okay. How does this help? Once someone is diagnosed with cancer, then you get their genetic background, I guess we'd say, their family history and so on. How does that help in treating it?
So it depends on the type of cancer and the gene, but in some cases, it can lead their oncologist to be able to offer them some of these tailored cancer treatments that are specifically studied to work well on their particular type of cancer and their particular gene mutation, which is really, really exciting, because I think we all know that the future of cancer care is really making it as personalized as possible to the patient, and not a one-size-all treatment like we've been doing for decades. And then secondarily, and one thing that quite honestly, every person that sits down in front of us pretty much says is, I'm doing this for my family. Mm-hmm. So maybe we can't prevent the cancer, of course, that they've been diagnosed with, but we can help their children, their grandchildren, their siblings, their nieces, their nephews understand their risks and possibly prevent, or at least be more closely screened for different types of cancer.
You mentioned that genetic testing has really evolved since the 1990s. Something that you and your team talked about during the presentations in October is how all genetic testing is not the same. Can you briefly touch on that, on different entities and vendors that profess genetic testing?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So something that's very popular these days are the kind of what we call direct-to-consumer. So at-home tests for things like ancestry and, finding out who your relatives are, where your ancestors may have come from. And some of those companies also offer, and I'm putting in quotes, health information along with the ancestry testing. The testing that we do in clinic is completely different than that. So if people want to do those tests, they are, of course, that is their right. They are welcome to do those for kind of information and maybe fun. But if they are worried about their family history and they have done one of those tests, it is not, we wouldn't consider that like a complete way to understand your genetic risk. And not just for cancer, for kind of any medical conditions, that the technologies are completely different. That those are not considered like medical tests. They're more just for information. So if people have done any of those tests and kind of think maybe, oh, I've answered that question already, we would strongly encourage them to reach out to us so we can make sure that they get a proper evaluation and then can decide if they want additional genetic testing.
Well, you do have some unique things about the Vanderbilt, the Ingram Cancer Center, as well as our Wilson County Center here. We might want to emphasize that a little bit here.
Yeah.
Uniqueness, it's somewhat different.
Well, and part of the program that we did in October is bringing our comprehensive cancer care to our community. So understanding that we not only have medical oncology and radiation oncology, but we have access to surgical oncology, genetic testing, just all of the different resources that you can get if you go downtown. And we are so fortunate to offer that here at Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center at Wilson County in our community.
Yeah, you work very closely with the people in Nashville, which
absolutely,
not only with the Ingram Cancer Center, but throughout just about everything that is offered in Nashville, you have access to here. That's the way I understand it.
Correct. Yes. And those, just like she said, the telemedicine visits for genetic counseling, sometimes those are offered through other subspecialties within the oncology space. And so when you do come and see your, usually it's your medical oncologist, which is the team lead to all things cancer care, they will help direct you to the correct specialist and make sure that we can see those physicians here in Wilson County. And if not, there might be a telemedicine visit. And then sometimes you do need to go into Vanderbilt University Medical Center for specific reasons to get some extra testing.
Well, no doubt you have an interesting job. You probably get to know the people a little bit, even though you're televisiting with them for an hour and a half.
Yeah, we really do. And we appreciate, our patients coming and sharing their families with us and, intimate details about experiences with cancer that their family has had. We don't take it for granted that we're asking them, to share difficult things and things that might have been very emotional to go through. But we also find that that's also motivating them to give this type of information to their family at the same time.
Well, I think we probably, go ahead.
Yeah, if someone listening today is interested in making that first step or getting started, what would they do first to either get in touch with you or to go down that path?
Yeah, so they're welcome to call our clinic. The number is 615-343-7400. You can go to the Vanderbilt Cancer Center website and find us. We're called the Hereditary Cancer Clinic. And we're also happy to just answer questions. Sometimes people might be hesitant to make an appointment. You're welcome to ask to speak to a genetic counselor and ask some questions before you're ready to make an appointment. And along those lines, it's also okay if you're not even sure you want testing, but you just want the visit to be evaluated for us to say, here's what we're suspicious for. Or sometimes we meet with people and we're really not as suspicious. And we say, really, testing isn't warranted in this case. And that's absolutely appropriate. We are happy to meet with people just to give them the genetics evaluation. So you don't have to be sure you want testing to make an appointment.
And something that, we as a team really talked about, we did the presentations in October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But this is information that we can talk about all year long. So if you have an organization, it doesn't have to be all women. I know a lot of the testing we've talked about is breast cancer or women-centered, but male or female genetic testing, if you would like more information, we love to come out to organizations or groups and talk more about the resources that we offer at Vanderbilt.
Well, I just thought of something. You mentioning male and female here, and the fact that if there's a history of cancer in your family, that of course it gets your interest up. But as far as cancer going through family, is that more prevalent in females and males, or males and females?
Nope. And that's a great question because I think there's a lot of misperceptions there. So all of these kind of abnormal genes that we can test for are sort of equally distributed between men and women. And where that can get confusing is that the actual chances to get cancer could be lower for a male versus a female. So, for example, someone's mother could carry a genetic risk for prostate cancer and pass it on to their son. They're not going to get prostate cancer, but their children could, and vice versa, that a father could carry a genetic risk for ovarian cancer. He's not going to get ovarian cancer, but he could pass that risk on to his daughter. So that's why this family history is so important on both sides.
Okay, and the best way to find you is a telephone, right?
Yep, telephone, or find us online, and you can send us a message that way.
Okay. All right, you can have the last word, Tracy.
I'm just always amazed at the resources that Vanderbilt offers. Like I said, in October, I learned more from Katie and the other physicians' presentations, and excited to have her join us on the radio to share more information. But, genetic testing is not something that we only have to talk about in the month of October. So any time of the year, and like I said, if other organizations are out there and would like to learn more, we would love to come out and do a presentation.
You would love to do a civic club engagement, wouldn't you?
I absolutely love that. Yes.
Okay. Civic clubs take notice. Katie Lang, thank you so much. And Tracy, thanks for having me. Program. And that is part one of Coleman and Company, presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Stay with us for more. You're on FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Want to thank our friends at Absolute Kubota. High performance, high horsepower, 0% financing is still a thing. Now is the best time to save on new Kubota L-Series tractors, rated #1 for durability and owner experience in the U.S. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. We still see heavy traffic trying to get in from Rutherford County on 24 westbound up through the Hickory Hollow area. It's pretty crowded now as you come in through Hermitage from Wilson County on 40 westbound up by Central Pike. I see a lot of traffic on 840 right now there in Williamson County and Paytonsville especially. That can run a little bit slow sometimes in both directions on 840 again near Paytonsville, Williamson County. Hey, Prince's Hot Chicken is hiring for all 4 locations. Check out that wonderful menu today at princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
And now, a moment of silence to remember our dear friend.
Sorry. Oh, man.
Life can be uncomfortable. Your home doesn't have to be. With a wide range of air conditioners, furnaces, and heat pumps, Rheem makes it easy to feel comfortable, even when you can't be comfortable.
Financing available through TVA's Energy Right program and your local power company. Call Randy's Heat and Air 237-3604.
When it comes to Medicare plans designed to meet your needs and budget, there's no place like Farm Bureau Health Plans. We've got Medicare Advantage plans, Medicare supplements, Part D, dental, vision, designed with folks like you in mind. Visit our office at 214 North Castle Heights here in Lebanon. You can see Charlotte Webster for your Medicare or other health plan needs. You can always get a quote for auto, home, life insurance, and also commercial insurance. Then again, West Dugan, Farm Bureau, Castle Heights office.
Mostly sunny skies expected through the day today, warming up to a high of around 75. For tonight, a slight chance of showers after midnight, otherwise partly cloudy, down to 56. For your Wednesday, more showers possible, mostly sunny, otherwise high of 78. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction of real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They ain't no auctions. Let's look at your forecast. I'm Stormy Clausen.
Coleman Company, welcome to part 2 of this Tuesday morning. We're ready to talk about Hearthside Senior Living. And let me say that Sean Dozier, who's executive director, is not here today. I guess we can say he's on special assignment. Sean's got an engagement today that he had to get started on early, and he asked me to just talk a little bit about Hearthside, which I am glad to do, and remind you that today retirement represents opportunity, the chance to enjoy freedom from tedious responsibilities, revel in free time, do as you please, and to relish the results of your working life. As senior citizens begin to explore the many retirement living options available, the choices may seem somewhat overwhelming. However, the task of choosing the right retirement community becomes much simpler when seniors are armed with some basic information and a checklist of desired amenities. The first step and the selection process begins by taking a moment to do a little personal inventory, reviewing such important characteristics as age, health, marriage and financial status, religious preference, personal interest, and even hobbies will help define the type of retirement community best suited to an individual's personality and capabilities. An independent retirement community is designed for active, retiree, and healthy seniors who are relatively independent both physically and socially. Residents live in fully equipped private 2 or 3 bedroom homes. Frequently, there are numerous social outings and events to choose from for entertainment. The major benefit seniors enjoy in this type of arrangement is its maintenance-free living. With no house and lawn upkeep, seniors find the freedom to truly enjoy their golden years. Activities conveniently planned and carried out in independent living settings often include crafts, exercise classes, live entertainment, movies, parties, outing, and overnight bus trips, each adding a new dimension to the senior's experience. Other maintenance-free amenities include such things as trash pickup, home inspections, a push-button call system, and meals served in a common dining area. Residents generally approve a floor plan and have the option to upgrade floor coverings, countertops, and the outdoor living space. After understanding the basic types of retirement communities and taking stock of personal strengths and weaknesses, it's a good idea to actually visit a variety of facilities, talk with current residents, ask the site manager any questions that may come to mind, and revisit if necessary. In choosing an independent living facility, it's important to find a prospect of genuine community with compatible social relationships. So, whether the final choice is a facility with a religious affiliation, government subsidized, or privately owned, remember taking the time to make such an important decision is time well spent. Choosing the right retirement community goes a long way to making a senior's golden years truly golden. Well, right here at Hearthside, some of the services that are offered, they provide all of their residents 3 nutritious meals daily, medicine administration, health monitoring, 24-hour emergency response, housekeeping, personal laundry and linen service, dual emergency call system, social activities, free cable TV, and towels are provided. And apartments feature large square footage in rooms, wall-to-wall carpeting, individual temperature controls, 24-hour emergency call system, kitchenettes in suites, and large walk-in closets in suites. Hearthside has been voted the best of the best in Wilson County for many, many years. So, it's located at 215 Castle Heights Avenue North. You can reach them at 615-443-1994. A reminder that it all began in 1994, and Sean has been the executive director for quite some time now. We like to say it's Hearthside when it's time for a helping hand. He welcomes you to come by and visit anytime, come in for a personal tour, and remember to it is our community's nonprofit assisted living provider, locally owned and managed, and they're here each Tuesday to tell us all about it. I don't have a Hearthside hello this morning. Actually, when Sean sent me word that he wouldn't be here, I wrote back and said, do you have a Hearthside hello? I didn't hear from him. So we'll dispense with that today, but that's it for Hearthside, and we'll see Sean hopefully next week. So let me turn to my guest this morning. We have the Director of Schools for Wilson County, Jeff Luttrell, who is with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Well, we'll talk sports for just a second. I know you've been somewhat of a Cincinnati Reds fan, and Joey Votto Reds had an option to have him for another year, I think to the tune of $20 million, and they said, we don't want you that bad. He's a free agent. What do you think of that?
Well, that's the business side of that sport, and he's had a great career at Cincinnati.
Well, I don't blame the Reds one bit. The twilight of his career hadn't been as great as I would like for it to have been, quite honestly. And if he wants to come back and play for a reasonable amount, right. And reasonable, I mean a whole lot less than $20 million, I welcome him. He's been a great player. But if he wants to play all the time, maybe he needs to go somewhere else. What would you do if you were in that situation? Would you hang it up?
I don't know. Unfortunately, I never got to had the opportunity to be in that situation. But that's Cincinnati's got a lot of young talent, and I'm sure they feel like they can replace the production.
Well, you played at Cumberland once, threw a no-hitter and pitched. What else did you play besides? Did you have the positions you played besides pitching?
I didn't. I was pitcher only.
Yeah. And I believe, weren't you part of one of the championship teams?
Well, we finished third.
You went?
We went to the World Series.
That was a great trip, no doubt. Well, we better get down to business here. We did have a school board meeting last night, so you can bring us up to date on that, or just the time is pretty much yours, whatever you want to tell us this morning, Jeff.
Yeah, we just, last night was regular board meeting, and not a lot of business on the agenda, but we did highlight some things that I want to point out this morning. We had our American Sign Language Club from Mount Juliet came in and signed the national anthem, and that's when those students are involved in learning that sign language and using that, and so that was good to see. And then we had a presentation by our Lebanon High School choir, two of their choirs, that was just outstanding. And just I want to give a shout out to those students, those sponsors that work extra and do extra to provide these opportunities for students. Also had a report from American Heart Association. They're in 8 of our schools working to raise money, but what we get in return is education for our students on CPR and heart disease detection, stroke detection, and highlighted a young man and his family that's in our district that has survived at an early age some conditions that really were detrimental to him and put him at great risk, and he's overcome that. And they were there as a representative of the Heart Association, just pointing out there's a lot more goes on in schools than just book learning. That's right. And so there's some things that we do that offer opportunities for our students and our families, and so that was highlighted, and that was good. And then we highlighted and brought our schools in that have been deemed as level 5 growth schools. We'd covered the achievement earlier in the year, but our level 5 growth, composite growth, meaning across the board, they grew to the maximum level, and that is Stoner Creek, Rutland Elementary, Springdale Elementary, Southside, a K-8 school, Mount Juliet Middle School, West Wilson Middle School, and Glayville Middle School. And so it was good to highlight their accomplishments from last year, and that growth is so important. When a kid enters a school year, where are they at when they leave? Do we grow them as students academically? And so we're excited for that. And then on that same note, Glayville Middle School, 6th grade, their social studies had the highest growth in the state of Tennessee. Followed by Mount Juliet Middle School, 7th grade social studies had the highest growth in the state. So number one. So when you look at all the middle schools across the state, to see those two schools achieve that, those teachers, their departments, we recognize the teachers that really are responsible for that. And so very, very good opening to the meeting to highlight some of our accomplishments.
Well, that's great to hear. Glad to see them excelling in that area. Things more of a business nature, perhaps.
It was from there. We just we approved some bus bids for the year, although they're 12 to 18 months out from order date. but we continuously are having to replenish our bus fleet, and so we took care of that last night. And I also approved a request for Wilson Central High School to offer boys and girls lacrosse. It's going to be a sanctioned sport next year. Green Hill had previously done that last month, and so Wilson Central sent that request in today, and it will be TSSAA sport. And Wilson Central's had this sport as a club sport for, I guess, 3 years or so, and so be adding another sport, and the board approved that. Lacrosse. I have not.
I've heard of it. I'm trying to imagine what it is.
And that sport, TSSAA has been watching the growth of that sport in Tennessee for several years, and they did approve to sanction it, and we've already got 2 schools that will be adding it, and it's a very popular sport.
Anticipate others coming along for long?
I do. I think it's going to just continue to grow, and so it's been established as club sports previously, and now we'll be bringing it in as a sanctioned sport.
Right.
Well,
there's a lot more than football, basketball, and baseball.
There is,
and it's good. And people, there are people who can excel at golf, lacrosse, maybe hockey, whatever, wrestling, that we don't hear as much about. They're not as big as spectator sports, but they're still wonderful opportunities to be an athlete of that kind.
There is, and you just continue to see these type of opportunities for our students, and I think it's important. So glad to see that. We'll be working through that in the budget. We'll impact our budget with some coaching and some startup money for these schools, but we'll take care of that. Other than that, just did approve our program of studies for next school year. And just to highlight something, we started the aviation program this year and bringing some pre-law classes next year to put in our high schools. So we continue to look to meet the needs of all of our students, and so that we'll start signing up for classes here in January. So we went ahead and took care of that, and then just some other simple business items that the board has to take care of, and so a pretty short meeting. I think we were out there by 8:30, so a pretty good night for Wilson County School Board.
Okay, it is time for us to take a break. Our Director of Schools, Jeff Luttrell, with us this morning, and more coming up on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. It's all brought to you by our friends at Bates Ford. That regular oil change, $39.95. Up to 5 quarts of oil, tax and disposal, $16.73 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Traffic's really starting to build up through Brentwood, Franklin, to Williamson County on I-65 northbound. It gets heavy all the way up into South Nashville. It's crowded 24, leaving Rutherford County, Murfreesboro, up through the Antioch area. Steady flow of traffic continues in from Wilson County, Mount Juliet, on 40 West, headed in and through Hermitage. Prince's Hot Chicken is hiring at all locations. Check out that menu today at princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome to Hearthside Senior Living, Lebanon's unique senior living community designed for seniors to age in place, all within a safe, comfortable, and Christian environment. Beautiful retirement homes designed for an independent lifestyle with maintenance-free living. Hearthside Senior Living also continues the excellent tradition of assisted living for those seniors who need additional services. Hearthside Senior Living, an independent retirement community and assisted living community, all on one campus in the heart of Lebanon. Call 615-443-1994 for a tour.
Where a patient starts their cancer care matters. And here, that means Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center, Wilson County. It's Vanderbilt level care without making the drive to Nashville. From screening to diagnosis to treatment and recovery, patients can get all the care they need right here close to home. So now, having the best care team and most advanced treatment is closer than ever. Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center, making cancer care personal.
I'm Michael Starr, a licensed local insurance agent with Health Markets Insurance Agency in Lebanon, Tennessee. Choosing the right Medicare plan for you can be confusing. Let me help you find a plan that best fits your needs and budget. Call 615-830-4875 to speak with a licensed insurance agent for a free appointment, virtually, by phone, or in person, to review your specific needs and help find a plan that's right for you. Health Markets Insurance Agency Incorporated is licensed in all states and D.C. Service and product availability varies. Agents may be compensated based on enrollment. No obligation to enroll.
We continue here on this Tuesday morning. Jeff Luttrell with us, our Director of Schools. We're just talking, you and I talk a little sports sometimes, and I was mentioning Mount Juliet and Green Hill played after Mount Juliet had lost to Franklin and had lost to Green Hill. But then Green Hill gets to play Riverdale and lost. Mount Juliet won their game and play...
They've got Oakland this week, and so that's our last football team that's still in the playoffs. And but it's a home game, and there'll be a lot of excitement around that build up to that game this week.
Well, Mount Juliet's had a really good year, and were undefeated before the Franklin game, I believe. It did take them 2 overtimes to beat Lebanon, but one of them come behind things. Well, anyway. Football's about over here, but basketball's about to begin, I guess.
It is. Practice has started, and with basketball, you've got wrestling and all the other winter sports kicking off. There's never a break from an athletic standpoint in our schools.
Do you have much discussion about athletic programs in the school board? Seems like, I don't hear much of it. We don't talk a lot about that. It's part of your budget, obviously.
It is. We fund the coaches, and it's a big part of our schools. And we've got a county AD, Chuck Whitlock, that handles most of our athletic issues. Occasionally, something gets to me, but it's just another finger on the hand of what we do, and it's very important. Just like the choir that we highlighted last night. It takes a multitude of things to really give kids opportunity to excel and find their place. And so athletics have always been a big part of my life, but it's no more important than band or cheerleading. It all fits together in my role of what we want to do. And I feel good about our athletics. We're very competitive in all sports, and we want to continue that. And the biggest thing I can say to that, having that background, is get good coaches, support them, and kind of stay out of the way as long as they do what they need to do.
But at the same time, as director of schools and thinking of the overall education program, curriculum, opportunities, whatever, to see some students get up there and be able to sign the national anthem, as you talked about, to have the choral groups get up there. They practice, and they take a lot of hours other than study time, school time, instruction time. They give of themselves just like the athletes do, and it's good to be able to give them a little time and credit there, as you did last night.
It is, and as large a district as we are, there's a lot of different things that go on that make our kids, that motivate our kids. And so it's important to continue to offer those things.
And to be as big a county and as big a school system as we have here compared to some of our smaller populated counties, we're just able to offer more. And there's a bigger need here, I would say, or at least you've got more people to participate in some of these things that you just wouldn't have much interest in maybe in a real small county.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, what else do we need to talk about from last night? Anything else really?
No, just a pretty normal board meeting, and again, just it's interesting and pleasant to watch this board work as they're really all committed to their role and what they're doing. And so just last night was just a good meeting. Would like to bring up one thing. There's a couple of things. The state has come out with a new rating system for schools, an A through F rating system. They're going to give schools a grade. That was in a 2016 law, and it kept being pushed aside due to COVID and some other things. And so we got the frameworks were approved by the State Board of Education on that last week, and I've looked at it. It's going to be interesting. It's another form of accountability where they'll be rating schools, and it's going to be on academic achievement, growth, some things like that.
You have the same criteria for an elementary school, maybe K through 5, that you do for the high school?
It will not be. There's just a little bit of variance, and one of the things when the formula is going to be used that's been approved is, I don't have it here in front of me, but it's like in elementary, it'll be 50% achievement, 40% growth, or 30% growth, and then a subgroup. All your subgroups will go into one group, and it's a little bit different in high school and middle school because you got more subjects. So it's not identical, but in essence it's the same model. And so we're being told that we'll have those letter grades in December. It's interesting that we've already done the work, and now they're going to go back and grade us. That's a little bit from an educator standpoint and a learning standpoint. Most time you know where you're trying to get to before you start. But we'll have to adjust, I think, and make some things focus. One of the things, that appears that chronic absenteeism had previously been included, that's not included. So I'm sure as we get these grades this year, then I'll get my team together and we'll really hone in and set goals and how we're going to attack that going forward. But that's going to be interesting to see how that's rolled out. And then I'm getting a lot of questions. There's a lot of discussion about our state is meeting, got a committee to potentially look at rejecting, not taking federal funding. And that's going to be a topic. I know there are meetings this week. I'm going to try to watch some of those just to get a better sense of what's going on.
The gist of it, as I understand it, is when the federal government appropriates a lot of money, and maybe not all the time, but a lot of time, there's certain strings that are attached, certain requirements that you're supposed to meet, or certain things they want you to do when you accept that money, and sometimes they don't meet what we want to do, and I think that's kind of where the rub is, isn't it?
I think so, and I've not said a lot about it. I've sat back and watched, and will continue to watch, and I understand that's what people are saying about strings attached to money. But I'll give you an example that I've got questions, director of school. IDA is federal law that says what the services that we have to offer special education students. That's in federal law. Mm-hmm. And we have to meet that law. So are we saying, my whole take is we can't do with less money. And if we're going to, regardless of who pays for it, we're going to have to follow federal law. Mm-hmm. And so I've got some questions, and I'm hearing some people I talk to that says, well, is that the question I'm hearing a lot from some people that are not involved in education but don't and just got a question of, well, we're paying federal taxes and we're not going to pull that money back to Tennessee to help with education. So I don't know, and I think it'll be very educational just to see what this committee comes up with in discussions that are had.
Well, I wonder if the requirements are so opposed to maybe our beliefs or our thoughts of the way things ought to be. What about changing some of those strings that are attached?
Well, that's always been my approach. If you got a law you need to change, work through the process to change the law.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just going to be interesting, but it's several $1 million that somebody's got. And if the state wants to make up and give us that money, that's great. But then the questions come up, well, wait a minute, we don't need all that money to go to education. We need some of our tax dollars to go to roads and other services. So it's going to just be an interesting, and I think the committee, from what I read yesterday, is just to have these discussions, and these discussions are worth having.
Yeah. Well, we, believe it or not, it's November, and Thanksgiving will be here in a few weeks. What's the schedule look like for Thanksgiving? You out the whole week?
The kids are out the whole week, and of course, 12-month people will be working a couple of days that week. And that's something we put in our calendar a few years ago, and our families really love it. Mm-hmm. The feedback is that week of Thanksgiving, you got a lot of people traveling. And so it comes at a good time, too. And then you come back from that, and you're getting ready for testing and Christmas break.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about testing here. Has that changed much?
It's not. We just test a lot. When you look at all the subjects we test and are held accountable, and our people in the school will tell you that's the most stressful time of the year. You get right there at the end, and we spend 3 to 4 weeks in a row testing.
Is the end result of that, the grade that is given there, does it mean as much as it did? Is it still...
Oh yeah. It's just it's more accountability. I mean that's what it is. And I think years ago. And here's the thing, my understanding is in 1617 our legislators said, wait a minute, we're doing all this, but we want something that the community can grab a hold of and say this is. But I think we've got to be careful to start comparing schools. All schools are not the same. All schools don't have the same issues. And so, you gotta see the big picture and dig deep into it. And I think there's some people that are concerned. I personally feel Wilson County comparatively we're going to rank like we always do, and that's just a testament to our teachers and our students. But I do feel for maybe some other areas that I hope this is not to say we have failing schools, but because if you see what goes on in schools, we got challenges every day, but the role of public education is crucial to our society.
All right, we got about a minute. I just want to mention, I know you were going to do some sort of study, a survey or something regarding the school in Watertown. Anything on that?
We're getting ready to roll that out, yeah. And that's a survey to see. We've got an issue with our middle school up there, and we're wanting some input. It's not a vote, it's just input. And we've got about 3 options. We've worked with our architects of what can be done. And the big thing, we want to hear from that community and make that a part of our discussion moving forward. And like I've told some groups, I'm not saying this is a year or 2. We've got another school we've got to get out of the ground. But we are going to be reaching out, and that survey will be available. We want to hear from people on what we need to do.
Okay. All right. Well, that takes us to the end of our time here this morning. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll try to do it again next month. Jeff Luttrell, our Director of Schools for Wilson County, and that's it for a Tuesday. Please join us tomorrow for the Wednesday edition. And until tomorrow, I wish you a terrific day.